Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sandra Kropa, and I'm very happy to welcome you to this discussion and to this island. In the next 1.5 hours, we'll be diving into really one interesting, fascinating, in many ways, maybe even mysterious topic called floating islands and wetlands. At first, maybe it might seem that there are some pitches of green floating into the water, but actually they are living organisms, living laboratories, and dynamic ecosystems that are helping us to find solutions to really urgent challenges that we are facing right now if we talk about our environment. Today we will explore how these floating islands are built, how they can be used in Baltic region to improve water quality and also support biodiversity. We will talk what they mean for local ecosystems and what role they can play also in future of water management. And for that, we will have here a very interesting panel with experts from Estonia and also Latvia. I'm very happy to introduce you with Linda Greenberga. Linda is Skill Up expert, and her focus is on educational and skill development aspects in nature-based solutions. So basically, she's the right person to ask how to build a floating island, right?
Yes, definitely. Hello.
Alo is associate professor at Estonian University of Life Sciences, and he's limnologist, hydrobiologist, whose research focuses on inland waters and floating island effects on lake ecology. Thank you for
Good evening, everybody.
Here. Kristel Panksepp. Kristel is a researcher at Estonian University of Life Sciences. Her main focus is on water ecology and biodiversity, ecosystem dynamics, and collaboration in the Baltic region. She actually has made even global map of fish biodiversity. So you are the right person to ask everything if you want to know about biodiversity on these floating islands. And Ruta Ozvola-Davidāne is a tenured associate professor at the Institute of Landscape Architecture and Environmental Engineering of the Latvia University of Life Sciences and Technologies. And she has both conducted research and led numerous international and national projects focusing on the development of different materials and sustainable solutions in water management.
Good evening.
Hello, everyone. So I would like also invite you to be active in our Slido platform. You probably see already, or later we'll see on the screen, the passcode, which you need to put when you open the slido.com platform. And there will be few questions during our discussion where we will ask you to please share your opinion and your point of view. But first, before we start to talk about floating islands, I would like to ask audience right here, just raise your hands. Have you ever heard of floating islands before? Yes, yes, yes. So actually quite a lot, but few maybe doesn't know what we are talking here about. But first, maybe we would ask you to explain us in very simple and maybe illustrative way what exactly are floating islands and wetlands. Kristel, I will start with you.
Hello.
Right. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Floating islands and wetlands are floating islands are mainly artificial constructs that can be used in the water bodies to support biodiversity and also to help to improve the water quality, especially if we see that we have problems with water quality in the lakes or ponds. Then these artificial islands, floating islands, can help us to improve it, and it will support the local biodiversity for the birds, for the amphibians. Also, it can support biodiversity in the water for the fishes who can live under the floating islands. And of course, the main idea would be to improve the water quality.
But we can compare it like a big house where everyone lives like under, or I don't know, the first, second floor, or like city, or I don't know, some kind of bigger.
I think it's even like a city or bigger, because the creatures that we can see, like birds or amphibians or fish, but there is a high diversity of microorganisms as well that play a very important role also in these constructions and also improving the system.
Yeah, I know you want to add something about describing this ecosystems, dynamic ecosystems, how they look like?
Oh, it's really complicated to say because every single floating island can form absolutely different ecosystem. It really depends which is the environment you're introducing it. So if, for example, if you want to have it in the city to have more life close by, which people can see, and then the lake itself or the pond or whatever other water body does not need to be contaminated. So you don't even need to form that your island will support somehow the ecosystem to improve somehow, but you really bring them the island there that people would have a more life for them as a surrounding. At the same time, of course, everything what Kristel said is true as well. We can use them to support the ecosystem in that manner as well, that it will help to improve the quality of the ecosystem, for example, the water body itself as well. But there are so many different options all around the globe we can find. Yeah, and those are even ancient things. Many people were building floating islands thousands of years ago just to be a kind of new environment for them, to be away from the mainland, which could be too violent for them. Let's say that there were a lot of beasts who were kind of disturbing people, so people could move to those floating islands and form their own new habitats there as well. So it's only the sky is the limit. I mean, we can really go everywhere with that.
So it's nothing new, actually, right? Civilization already knew this approach. But Linda, how it is to build a floating island now, if you see that already in ancient times people were doing it? Is something that you can learn from those times?
Yes, I would even take a step back, and I would say that every biological water treatment system is kind of separate ecosystem because all the microorganisms are living there, and even not dependent on what exactly method we use. Anyway, we are counting on those bacteria and those microorganisms to do their life and to treat our water. So basically, if the system is very complicated, if there is a lot of different species living on the system, if it's dependent on different influencing factors, then it's easier for the system to adapt to the changes. If the system is very simple, we have to take care by ourselves for the system to work. So these floating islands and constructed wetlands at all, I would say they are really complicated because they are very close to natural systems, and this is how we make them. And it means if they are that complicated, then it's more easy for those systems to adapt to different changes, to different flotations or any other things that we can't really predict. So we don't have to really take care every minute for the system to work. It will adapt to the natural conditions and it will work.
So you just create and then leave it in the nature?
No, not really. I mean, never you can just leave the system as it is. You have to take care and do maintenance anyway, but it's easier for the system to adapt to the changes.
But can you give an example? What does it mean, a simple such an island and a complicated island?
Simple system, I would say that, for example, wastewater treatment system with activated sludge would be only one kind, not one, but only small kind of bacteria species. So we have to take care of them. We have to give them constantly the oxygen and everything. But for this floating island, it's close to natural system.
How big they can be, these islands? Are there restrictions? How small or big you can create these islands? Start, Linda, maybe with you as a person who is involved in creating, and then maybe biologists can join.
The size depends firstly on the size of the lake, because we can't cover every inch of water with floating islands, of course. But the next thing is we have to, if this floating island is meant to treat the water, then we have to calculate the efficiency and the size of the wetland depending on the water quality in the lake.
Alo and Kristel, could you give us some examples as well on size?
Yeah, I mean, mostly Linda covered everything from that point of view, that it really depends on the size of the environment you want to install it. But at the same time, you know, you don't need to have one big one. You can have several small ones as well. It's really what do you want to achieve. I mean, if you wanna, let's say, give a biodiversity hotspots for different type of living organisms who don't want to live close to each other, then many small ones could be even the better option then. So very, very wide ranges of options.
So you can even make a network of such kind of small islands in one lake.
Yeah, that would be even more beautiful, I would say.
Crystal, about the biodiversity, if we talk, what's the best option for biodiversity, and what actually are the example of such species we can see on such islands?
I think the most visible creatures for local people to see that we can see the improvement are probably birds. That floating islands are providing them nesting places and also secure places from the predators. But I think from the biodiversity point of view, I would agree with Alo that several smaller islands across the water body would be beneficial. Yeah, but I think, biodiversity will benefit definitely. And if we don't consider only the visible biodiversity, but also the microbiodiversity, then the wider is the habitat, and then the more different the habitat is, the wider is the biodiversity, and the different niches will be covered by different species and organisms. So, yeah, the more smaller ones I would, suggest.
So you wouldn't call one ambassador of such a biodiversity, so I don't know, bird or other organism. There are many that maybe even we don't see with our own eyes.
Yeah, and then in many cases, the biodiversity that we cannot see can play even more important role concerning to the water quality, for example. And then there are different measurement methods how to also measure the biodiversity that we cannot see exactly.
So maybe, Ruta, now you can switch as well to our discussion and tell us more why these floating islands are so good for water management and why they are helping to increase quality of water.
Yes, actually we have one of the project that we are also discussing. It is Interreg Estonia-Latvia cooperation project, and it's only now starting, and we actually are discussing different kind of floating island options also with Linda together. And one of our idea is to create it's like floating island, but beneath the floating island install natural type materials that can attract, for example, phosphorus, which is one of the main nutrients why there is eutrophication and the water is in green color as this pond, for example. And in this project we are also trying to recover this mineral materials afterwards, or this phosphorus recover and recycle in municipalities. And actually one of the pilot places will be Cēsis. So we will also, not in this pond, but a little bit outside Cēsis, we will install also a floating island type of prototype. And beneath it, there will be this mineral type of material, which is natural origin. And it will attract the phosphorus, and then afterward we will recycle it for the greenery purposes, because phosphorus is also one of the main nutrients for the plants. So we will recycle the phosphorus overall.
So actually, yeah, you want to
maybe I can just add, there can be a different technical modifications, I would say, because in one project we are creating like really floating constructed wetland, even I would call it like that, because we are counting on bacterial activities in the root system, which is emergent into the water. But in this project, we can use even this type of ponton or whatever, just to add to that something whatever floating structure, this kind of material that Ruta is describing.
Yes, actually we could put this material under our stage and also recover or remove this phosphorus and increase the quality of the water like by that. Yeah. So we have actually different kind of crazy ideas. One of the idea was to put these mineral materials under swan
house.
Swan houses. So it could be quite good option for the, maybe you saw at the second park there was this black swan. So maybe for them.
How far we are now with these floating islands? Like in reality already now you are talking about the prototypes or some kind of ideas, but is it something that still we are waiting and someday we will see? Or there are already places in Latvia, you mentioned your thesis as well, where we can go and see already like working floating islands?
Actually, I haven't seen in Latvia places like that. So our prototype will be ready next year. So we will see the next year them. But yeah, maybe colleagues can comment.
Yes, but in Biofloat, we are on the way now. We are on the way to create those prototypes and to let them in to try on.
Okay, so
yeah, there are a couple of them are available already in Estonia, in Rakvere city, for example.
They're already working, yeah?
They are already working for kind of 2-3 years easily, maybe even more. But and there is a kind of many small ones. What was their decisions, because this is a city bonds and they could not build one big one there. So it's many small ones there, and they are working efficiently. But there are actually some other examples from the earlier times we had. University where I'm working was trying to, if people are remembering, in the beginning of 2000s, European Union came with a law that all the old landfills should be closed and build the new ones, which would fill the proper requirements of the nature in case of having a clean nature as well. So many of those landfills had ponds close by, which were super polluted. In Estonia, in one of those ponds, my university colleagues were building a floating island just to restore this landfill. And there are many other options, similar examples actually in Latvia and Lithuania as well, which were made really first kind of super simple ones. Those were not meant to be there for a long time, so they really wanted to see the quick effect of the cleaning in those days. But yeah, there are many options.
Kristel, wanted you to say as well something about existing ones in Estonia?
Yeah, I wanted to mention the same that Alo already mentioned, that are installed in Rakvere. Yeah.
Okay. So now let's switch to our audience, and I would like to ask you a few questions. And the first one, please open the slido.com if you haven't opened yet. And you will probably see now on the screen the digits you need to put as a passcode. And there you will see the question, do you think nature-based solutions like floating islands could be effective in improving water quality? Let's see, what do you think? Are you completely unsure about that or not really? Maybe you think it's possible, but maybe you are completely convinced that definitely there are very good idea how to improve water quality. So let us know, what do you think? So we see already that the biggest part of you think maybe, definitely as well. So very positive and optimistic point of view. See that definitely, 50-50 right now. Why definitely, why maybe? What are concerns? Will be interesting to know. Let's wait just a bit more. So yeah, now more you think that definitely. Okay, more or less we are seeing, yeah, what do you think? Let's wait a bit more. So still 50-50. What is your comment on this?
I could comment. I would totally agree with maybe, because there's always a question mark when we start something new. And when I started to research constructed wetlands in Latvia, the first question was, it was years ago, the first question was what happens in the wintertime, and all those other simple questions that appear every time when you start something new. And in this case as well, we are on the way. I am sure that this technology works. It works in different countries, but there's always a question of the maintenance, question of other influencing factors. So yeah, let's check.
So your other opinion, maybe or definitely?
I'm also in the maybe side because it's really depending on the initial status of the water body, the quality of the water body's water. Because if it's really heavily polluted, then I think that floating island cannot be the only measurement to help to restore. And then if we have like lots of nutrients in the sediments, for example, then I personally think that some other measures should be taken into account.
Alo, what's your opinion?
Oh, I'm definitely from the maybe side. I'm a scientist. Maybe is always better answer than definitely. That's first. But the second thing is that doing something and not doing it properly and correctly, we can always ruin something. So it really depends what we wanna do, because in many times we are actually doing the half of the equation, not finishing the equation in a proper way. It's like, I'm just bringing super simple example. It's like, let's say that we wanna remove phosphorus from the lake and we find super nice solution for that, but at the same time we are forgetting that our floating island may put something else to the lake. Let's say we are using wrong materials, we are using some kind of plastic which does not like to survive for a long time, or winter will make an effect on that, or a very hot summer will make an effect on that, which we are seeing in our temperate zone much more frequently nowadays, that there are many really warm periods in our summers now. So we may even pollute the lake with other chemicals, for example, some microplastics. So you need to be in the right way since the beginning and until the end of the formula. That's my point.
You can't do something about the materials, for example, that you find already some kind of material that won't create new problems, or it's not so easy.
No, I mean, my point was just, you have to be smart doing the things. We do a lot of things without thinking it through fully. If you do that, you will avoid all the issues. So.
Okay, so if you're smart and very precise, then you can go for definitely, but no, still maybe. Crystal and Ruta, you didn't say what's your opinion about definitely or maybe, or Ruta, you wanted to say? Yeah, sorry, Crystal.
Actually, I would agree with Cristela because it depends of the water body, but definitely the combination of different kind of techniques for water bodies could be the best solution. So yeah, for me, it could be also maybe.
Okay, but how we can see already visibly that this lake or a pond or I don't know what else need to be cleaned, or the water quality there is bad? Can you say, like, I know you are scientists, but say in simple words for all the rest of us, how we can see?
Definitely the first thing that we can see that maybe the color of the water bodies is not what we would like to see. It's maybe very greenish or dark green. We can see maybe the floating cyanobacterial mats, smell the muddy or earthy smell. Definitely this is the way how we can see that something is wrong. So the other thing that we can see that maybe we can see some dead fish and realize that there might be some issues with the oxygen. Also, of course, if we measure the parameters, we can definitely see, but normally we will measure them when it's ordered. Like normal local people, they don't have facilities to go and measure. So I think the easiest way is to see that you see changes. Like last year, my water body was clear and I could see the bottom. But now I can see maybe only a little bit, and if I put my hand in the water and it disappears quickly, then there might be a thought that something is wrong.
I have a question to our audience. Now just raise your hand if you have ever personally see these things that Crystal explained, like let's say about this cyanobacteria, that have you really saw them on coastal areas or lakes? Here in Latvia, you probably all heard from him. So majority say yes. So actually it's something that we visibly can see that this, for example, lake needs a floating island, or there's a need for such things around. Yeah, Linda, you wanted to say?
I would add that if it's the situation that Crystal described, when you first year see everything looks nicely, and then next year something is bad, then definitely I'm not sure that floating island will now help out, because you have to consider if there are some inflowing untreated wastewater probably coming in, or other reasons why this happens, because floating island wouldn't solve this source of the wastewater coming in. And if those nutrients, those phosphorus and nitrogen, if they are coming in somewhere, then floating island probably wouldn't be the solution for that. So, but we can't take all the water out of the lake or of the ditch and treat it and then let it back. So we have to think how to not let this inflowing wastewater come in first, and then we can think about how to treat the water which is already in there.
So floating island helps for the water that is already in, but
Yes.
you need before already to make sure there's no new input of this pollution.
Yes.
Crystal, please.
Yes, I can bring some example that if you see the water on the floor of your kitchen and you start wiping it, and then you wipe and wipe and wipe, but the tap is open. So you will continue to wipe it and that nothing happens. So this is what we really have to consider, that the input to the lake, nutrients input in the lake should be minimal or zero.
Ruta, you wanted to say something before, or you just took the microphone? Yeah.
No, I just was wondering about that. You asked so have you ever seen the water body if there's some eutrophication? Yeah, so, but actually we can see already. So I was hoping that everyone will put the hand up. So
Yeah, but you see, we saw it also outside, but sometimes it's so naturally feels like, oh, the water is just a bit green color there. Maybe because it's city center and stuff like this, but actually it shouldn't be like this here. Let's ask again one question in Slido. Would you support installing floating island in your local lake or pond if it helps reduce pollution and algae? There, please, can we see the answers? And yeah, give it. Would you support? Or there's also option need more info. Of course, that always you can say need more info, but try to decide right now. So for a while, yes and maybe seems also need more info. Some scientists probably also in audience saying need info. Well, let's wait a bit.
This information that is needed is probably how it will look like, because this is one of the most important things for locals who lives nearby some lakes. They are really interested how it will look like, right? So yes, the answer would be that it should look as some flower bed or something nice, definitely.
Floating flower bed,
Yes.
yeah? Maybe someone has some creative ideas, so probably can share with the people who are installing these kind of islands. And
Yes,
then
we have landscape architects attracted to this project as well, and they are working hard in picking the right plants for those floating islands so it looks good. And again, we have winter times in our country, so we have to think about how it will look like in the winter as well.
But so majority says yes. It surprises you that people say not maybe, but yes, most of our audience?
Yeah, somehow surprises. I know that, most probably people who reacted super quickly and said yes did not think it through again. From that point of view is that we're asking one question, would you do it because of that things? We are asking, would you support installing floating island in your local lake or pond if it helps to reduce pollution and algae? And absolutely support if we will prove that, everybody would say yes. But if you now think about other things, people are kind of picky, do you want to have many birds living close by to you? I'm just bringing this an example because in one of those Estonian lakes we are currently starting to build a floating island as a natural island as well already, and those natural islands are full of birds who are making a lot of noise and destroying people's houses because they need to release what they have eaten as well. So it may happen that there will be more birds which people don't like there. So it's always complicated. I mean, in case of this question, yes. In case of thinking other solutions or other problems it may happen, you never know. So you always need to think it through smartly.
So Linda?
I can add that we tried the first prototype in the Biofloat project already in our open water constructed wetland. It's like a lake, but yes, the evidence of the birds was already there for I don't know, after a week when we just floated in without even any plants on it, really. So birds really loved it because they are safe there. No hunters, so they can live there easily and nest and do everything what they like. Yeah.
So it seems we need to ask again, do you change your mind right after this explanation? Ruta, you wanted to say?
Yeah, actually, I'm not surprised about the answer, yes, because in our project, we have in Kastri municipality, maybe you know, we will so also build something floating with these mineral materials and in Vuonu Lake. And actually, in this small municipality, locals are very open. They are like, we are waiting when you will come sooner. So we are really excited. And maybe because, as colleague already said, maybe because they don't think forward about this bird thing or something like that. But yeah, they are really open. So I'm not surprised about the answer.
Bird watching is a privilege. It's a plus, not a minus.
Yes, actually, that was also that in this municipality, a lot of people are watching birds, and so actually, the bird watching could be like the plus for them.
But okay, if this island is, for example, in some lake in municipality or city center, but if it's such a structure goes to private territory, for example, your personal, I don't know, house or whatever. Do they need to take care some kind of, I don't know, about this island? You said at the beginning, it's not like you build and you just leave, but at the same time, well, it's not like you're having pet at home, right? So what people need to be aware if they're saying yes for their really private territory that they're taking, if they have some pond or lake, what does it mean for them?
In case of the lake in Estonia, which we have mentioned many times already, you never have heard the name. Name is the lake Põrmujärv, and Põrmu does not sound like a good thing, and it actually is not. It's would be the simplest way to translate it means that if somebody have passed away, that's how the lake looks like as well, because it's in very, very bad condition. So it's a proper name for that lake right now. But anyway, people are really living surrounding the lake, and they really have this kind of bird issue because the lake is super contaminated. But it means that this is a nice food table for the birds as well, because the surface water itself is blooming, and there is a lot of food for the birds as well in the surface water. But it may happen that if it, I mean, first, as Kristel actually said earlier, or Ruta said earlier, that you may. It would not be the first solution to restore your lake with a floating island. I mean, the main idea of the floating island started to just really increase the option of the biodiversity inside of the cities where life was moving out. You know, you really wanted to bring some bugs, some insects back to the cities, some birds there as well, to have them there. And if that is your thing, what you want to do, and you don't really think about saving your water quality first, then why not? Everybody should have something close to their ponds if it's out from the real nature, because that was the main idea at the beginning. But all other things, you need to just think through them as well. It's like, what do you want to achieve? Do you really want to improve the quality? Or maybe you even don't want to improve the quality. It's like we were talking earlier about the visual things, how you can see that your lake is not in the good conditions anymore. Let's now talk about one thing which is not the visual. Many of the people have their kids in home, or the older people themselves like to go for fishing, and you have always went to your own pond or the lake close by, and you have been lucky sometimes getting big fish and some other times getting small ones, and now suddenly you're always getting only small fishes. This is another option which you visually cannot see, but you see that something is happening with your lake, and then you need to find out the ways as well. And just one simple example what the floating island can give you then is it gives the new hiding places for the fishes. So many small fishes need hiding places, but the big fishes need them as well to attack the bigger ones. And mostly the fish kills are happening in your home small ponds because they are just not deep enough, or they are just too deep and with a small water area, because our winters are still cold. We will have the ice forming, and a lot of issues which will come, which we don't see, but you need to think through, and you really need to set your own line. Why I need this? What does it give to me? Do I want birds? I'm happy with birds. Maybe I want some bugs. Maybe I want to deal with the water itself. So,
about the biodiversity on these islands, you wanted to add as well something like if it's for private territory, what need do people keep in mind?
Yeah, like Ala mentioned, that it will provide refuges for the small fishes and also hiding places for the predatory fishes. But in the private, I think it's very important also to provide place for pollinators. So it could be one option that it will be not cut off like we are doing with our grass. But also the question was, should it be somehow maintained? Then of course it should be maintained, because if we wanted to remove phosphorus, for example, then we have to consider that the plants during the winter demolish, and then there is an option what to do with that, because otherwise the phosphorus that has been taken up will be released again to the water body. So definitely these artificial floating islands need the maintenance.
Yeah, just shortly to add that I actually wanted to mention that earlier, but I already forgot. But in case of if you really want to take the biomass out from your lake, I mean the phosphorus out from your lake somehow, then you definitely need to cut the plants. But you need to cut them before the winter, because the plants start to release the nutrients before they start to die themselves. It's mostly in our climate, you need to cut the plants out already in August, not waiting for the September. Otherwise, they already start to die and then release many of the nutrients back to the water.
But how it goes, you said as well about these birds, if there are really places that attract birds, won't you anyway have these nutrients back to this lake or pond, because these birds will give them back? So it's not like 50-50 the gain what you have. Kristel or Ruta, you want to say?
Actually, I was thinking about that we are talking all the time about the phosphorus like the bad guy. So as polluter, but actually phosphorus has these two sides. From one side, it is polluter and we need to remove it. But from another side, phosphorus actually is critical raw material in EU. And what does it mean? It means that resources for phosphorus in EU we don't have. We have outside EU countries. And we are buying phosphorus and phosphorus rock. So actually our important rate is 80 to 100%. And because of that, this is critical raw material. And yeah, you can also see the slide with the phosphorus rock prices. And because of that we are so independent of countries that is outside EU. We are buying phosphorus and from outside EU countries, and mainly because of that, the price fluctuates due to political situation. And you can see also in the picture, the latest peak is due to Russia war in Ukraine, and because of that, the prices went up. And phosphorus mainly is in Russia, Kazakhstan. Also, the biggest amount is Morocco. So. And phosphorus is not only used for the plants. Actually, it is very useful for different kind of industries and industries that is related to alternative energy waste. And also in our mobile phones, there is phosphorus. So actually, it is critical material for different kind of industries. Yeah. So that's like the second side of the phosphorus.
So this is a solution how you don't let them go waste, I to say.
Yes.
You just collect it back and use it in the smart way,
Yes,
right?
that's why I was talking about these mineral materials, that we catch the phosphorus from the water when he pollutes it, and then take it out and use it in the ground for the flowers, for example, when where you need this material as fertilizer. So yeah, you reuse this material. So this is about that. Yeah.
So you said why phosphorus is also good and why we need it.
Yeah, and actually, if I may, phosphorus also is quite good for our teeth, and it is also in our DNA structure. So actually, phosphorus is everywhere.
Yeah, the question probably is the amount and where it is.
Yeah, definitely, yes.
So, but how about these birds? I asked you this question, is it concerning like you create a place which attracts birds, you want to get more nutrients back to the lake you are cleaning at the end?
So mass calculations or something, I don't know.
I mean, it really depends how many you have them there. I mean, the island itself needs a fertilization also from the top, not only from the below. I mean, from the lake. So it may be super helpful for the island as well from the top part. But of course, if it will happen that you will have a huge amount of birds, which I think that will not happen, because you need to have a huge amount of territory for a huge amount of birds. So those are not the really things for the island. It's just they may increase the birds population which you don't want there. But if it's not your problem, getting a couple of pairs living in the island will definitely give you a nice
Maybe
other
the
option.
small size could be the best small island. So
yeah, as Linda before said, many small ones, like a network of these islands, right?
But in other countries, I know that the best example of reason why people choose to build constructed wetlands on the land or on the lake is because they are hunters and they love to hunt birds. So this is one of the reasons why farmers choose to build such a thing.
Yes. So we already talked about the water quality and these indicators of water quality, and you mentioned a few of them already, but let's ask you one more question on Slido, and then later please comment on what is the most maybe important visual indicator. You mentioned actually I think more or less everything what we see now in the like what we could guess what it could be. You said many, but maybe here you need to just write down your answers. Please write a word. What do you think would be the thing that is the most important visual indicator of poor water quality? We talked about the smell, color, but probably something more. And actually, maybe if you listen very carefully, you already could catch from the answers our experts said. And then maybe let's talk about it in the minute. So let's see. For a while we see floating blue-green algae, color, dead fish, smell, water is not transparent. Maybe a few more ideas. So maybe let's wait a bit more. So it seems that vegetation here comes still in. What you would call the most important thing? Of course, we will maybe first see this color or feel the smell, but is this really the most important thing? And what says like with this water body something is not okay?
I want to say it before you, because I know where you are going to lead us now. I just want to make one comment, because we had this answer there. This was a floating blue-green algae. They are not floating anymore. I mean, they are still floating there, yeah, but they are dead. This is what comes to the surface of the water, is that this is a dead cells already. And now I give floor to her.
Yeah, no, not always. But for me, I'm cyanobacterial person, so I would definitely say that if we see that there is a clear change of the color of the water, and then you already, even if cyanobacteria is not visible with the naked eye, but if they are forming large colonies, when you take the water to your hand like this, and then you see like small spheres or this kind of filaments, then there is already huge colonies of cyanobacteria, and then this is for me the sign that we have a problem with the lake. And then, as Ala mentioned, that it's dead cells? Not necessarily. They are dead generally when they are flushed to the shoreline, and you will not see then anymore the only greenish, but you are seeing now the bluish. And if the color is bluish already, then it's dead cells, and then cyanotoxins are released to the water. But the cyanobacteria, they have ability to float in the water column. So if it's very calm water, very calm weather, and nice sunny day, they are just coming on the top of the water body, and then we can see them. Because cyanobacteria is nothing nothing new or nothing that we should be like extremely worried all the time. They have been here 3 million billions of years already. They have been the reason why we can breathe oxygen now. So they have really, really important role, and they are almost in every water body. But the problem with and then some of these species are starting to dominate. And even this is not the biggest issue, but the biggest issue is their ability to produce toxins. And this what should make us to consider that maybe something is really wrong with the water body.
Yeah, and you should say that not all of them are producing toxins. So it's like many times we are getting from the popular news that the cyanobacteria are blooming. Be careful, don't go there, avoid all of this. There are many. There is huge amount of species, but very few of them actually are producing toxins, isn't it?
We cannot say that very few of them, but of course there are like more common species or genuses that are producing toxins. And but even if the cyanobacteria itself is not able to produce the toxin, their cells, they have like a double sheeted walls of their cells, and even if the cell itself is not producing toxins, these lipopolysaccharides are still irritators for our skin, for example, and especially with for the small kids or with the elderly people who have weaker immune system. So, but yes, not necessarily all of cyanobacteria are producing toxins, but many of them still do.
So, but if we want to go to swim to some lake, the thing that we need to keep in mind is the water color, and if we see these bluish already algae on the shore, right? That's the like urgent thing we need to take.
Generally, it's really dependent. If it's like a really green wash water, then of course it's maybe not the wisest thing to go to swim there. But if you see just floating colonies there, and even for this water body, I would say that it's still safe to go and swim. Just be careful and wash yourself later, because we get the cyanotoxins are potent for us or toxic for us if we drink it and swallow it, or if we are using the water in the sauna and then the toxins are evaporating from the stones.
Steam.
Yeah.
I mean, if you put the steam to the stone.
Yeah. Yeah. But otherwise, just to go swim and not to swallow the water, not to drink the water, it's rather okay. But of course, keep an eye of your dogs and then small kids.
Yeah, Linda, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I wanted to add that actually this plant growing in a water is a natural process. It isn't something that we will remove and it wouldn't happen anymore. It will happen anyway, but the problem is that this eutrophication is happening too fast in some water courses. And if it's too fast, then we see that it's too much of those algae or too much of water plants or reeds or whatever. So it's overgrowing and we don't want it.
Ruta wanted to say something? No. But what to do when we see such a, for example, things in the water or that we understand the quality of water is poor and bad? Now I will ask you what we need to do, but before I need to ask you what you would do. Please open as well Slido and answer the question. If you live near a lake and have concerns about water quality, what would you most likely to do? And let us know your ideas, opinion. There already you can choose from either report to local authorities or avoid using, as we already can imagine. shares, of course, concerns on social media or join a support local initiative and not sure what to do. Let's see what you say. So report, of course, to local authorities, probably social media as well. Yes, we see as an answer, and avoid using about the local initiatives. We don't have ideas. We don't have any person joining it. But yeah, local authorities and avoid using water. And of course, social media as well is a bit like an answer. Linda, you wanted to comment on these answers?
Yes, I wanted to turn this, your thoughts more in the practical way a little bit, yes, because we can do some things to feel better about this dirty lake, but I would suggest to bring on a little bit more practical things that we can do. So the first thing is we have to see if it's like really a lake or maybe is a small pond in your property. If it's a small pond in your property where water is still standing and it's green and lots of plants is growing there, then of course no really floating island will help out. You have to remove inflow. You have to remove probably this suspended solid layer or sediment layer from the bottom. You have to remove those plants, and then you can think about the water quality, because there are two things that causes this algae blooming, I believe. First thing is like water. You take a water sample and what is dissolved in the water. This is the first thing, and this is where this floating island could help. But the other thing is this bottom layer, which contains a lot of nutrients as well, and those plants as itself, all this biomass again, this is nutrients again anyway. So two sides for this, I would say. Yeah.
Thank you for a comment. Hello?
Yeah, I really like the leading answer right now, which is avoid using the water. As a limnologist, then you should come and announce to all local municipalities, whatever authorities, almost every single day in the summer. We are the kind of a tricky thing for us is that we are living in a region where most of the lake are naturally eutrophic already. Even if we as a people would not be in here, those lakes still would be eutrophic, and this means that this phytoplankton growth is happening there, these blooms are happening there, they would not be as intensive as we see it right now. And that was commented by Linda earlier as well, that it's just they are more intensive right now. So, but anyway, my point is that those things will happen in those lakes. So a lot of them are really, really hard to stop. We can just try to first thing, but we need to try to manage that there will be no more pollution, or we need to just reduce it as much as possible. And if we will stop the pollution, then we can start to think how we can improve the situation. So running and saying to everybody that, oh, my lake is in bad conditions today, this will never help. We need to find what is causing this and how we can stop this pollution somehow. So just avoid the water is the first thing. That's what I would do as well.
Linda?
I would comment maybe this avoiding the drinking this water directly would be the best thing to do. Of course, don't drink it, but maybe you
probably
can...
we think mostly about, I don't know, swimming or, I don't know, using in garden or something like this. Probably not drinking it from the lake directly. You want something to comment about these answers? What you expect as a right answer? Right?
I was thinking about Linda's comment. If it's your pond in your property, then avoiding the water, yes, but to tell about local authority, maybe it's not the best option what to do. But yes, of course, if we think about the swimming and water quality in our world, then we also need to think about different kind of bacteria and also E. coli. And so I was thinking back to the topic that we were discussing about the birds, because actually birds is also putting in the water the feces. So it's also bacterial, can be pollution, not only algae, but yeah, there can be different kind of pollutants if we want to use that water, and not always we can see them with the eye.
Linda, please.
And if plants are overgrowing in a lake, it means that in water are nutrients. Nutrients are plant food, so we shouldn't avoid the water, we should use it for irrigation.
Yes, so different kind of purposes, yes. Recycle phosphorus and nutrients.
Yes, Crystal wanted to add something.
I would like to add here one point concerning to irrigation water. So if the water body is like really, really highly seen with cyanobacterial bloom, then this water is not good for irrigation as well, because fast-growing plants take up the toxins. And then, yes, we will use the water. It will fertilize our plants as well, but I would not use it for the salads and these fast-growing food supplies.
So, Ruta, before you mentioned about this phosphorus, that we can actually take it out from the place where we don't need it and use it where we need it. And that's why the last question on Slido, I would ask you all now, how long do you think are global phosphorus reserves estimated to last at current use rates? And Ruta, you will comment on this probably.
Okay.
But let us think what we all here who are here, we think about this. So how do you think, for how long time we are still having phosphorus reserves? So there are already options that says like infinite, it's recyclable, over 200 years, 50 till 100, or less than 50 years. Well, let's see, what do you think? And you think then less than 50 years? Yeah, over 200, so again, 50 and 50 till 100. Are we close to the right answer here?
It depends. Actually, if we look about the phosphorus in overall, it is a similar situation as with the oil. So actually, we are depleting. This resource can be depleted. And we cannot substitute this element with other elements. So if we run out of phosphorus, we don't have any alternative. So it is quite crucial to talk about that. And for the latest data, we have around 300 years still phosphorus. So you can show the slide. I think I had about this depletion, yeah. But yes, so the previous one, I think. Yeah. But yes, so that's why actually the color one, yeah, this one, yeah, perfect. About the phosphorus. So because of that we are depleting the resources and we need crucial this phosphorus not only for fertilizers but for different kind of industries, as I said previous time. The different kind of projects, as already I mentioned, and different kind of activities has started to recycle phosphorus and to take out the phosphorus from waste streams and reuse it as material and as a critical material that it is. So, and this picture you can see the prediction. This is the previous data that it will be. So, few years ago, the prediction was 100 years, and then we will run out of phosphorus. But the newest prediction is 300 years. So, we found new resources. But nevertheless, of course, the topicality to reuse this different kind of waste streams and take out the phosphorus, for example, for the wastewaters as well, because one of the main polluters is wastewaters, and as well as agricultural runoff. And I think also Linda has different kind of experience to the grease, nutrients and agricultural runoff, and she has already demonstration site in Jelgava. So so different kind of activities like that can recycle or recover phosphorus. But mainly the main phosphorus recovery or recycling is from wastewaters and reusing, for example, sludge or sewage sludge ash. So it's a very topical technology.
So do you agree that we are actually thinking mostly about phosphorus like, oh, it's something bad, as you mentioned before, and something we need to get rid of? But actually we need to switch in our thinking about this valuable resource that we are taking off.
Definitely. We need to get rid of, for example, in water, but we need to take it out and reuse it for the plants and for different kind of other industries. There's different kind of crazy and interesting ideas. For example, to recycle phosphorus that is in batteries and reuse it as fertilizer. So there's different kind of projects and activities. Yes, that's very topical at right now.
Yeah, it sounds like, easy, you just take it out, but technically it's something complicated to take out phosphorus from these lakes.
Yes, we are talking about the wastewater. Then again, two sides for that. Now it's very important, at least in Latvia, to take care of wastewater treatment in the simple level at first, because we have a lot of problems with small treatment systems and private treatment systems, because I would call it like a pet. If someone buys in your private house a industrial biological treatment system, you have to take care about it as it would be aquarium. Because those bacteria that are living there in this treatment system, they need to breathe, they need to eat. And those are two simple things that any animal would need. Of course, you don't have to take care of it like it would be a dog to take it out or something, but still you have to take care that the oxygen is all the time there, that the food for the bacteria is all the time there. So that's why I initially really liked the idea of constructed wetlands as a treatment systems for different kind of wastewaters, because they are more close to natural, as I already said, that they are taking care of themselves better than industrial treatment systems. And it means that we have to take care about it, but not that often, and it's not that hard, probably. You don't need that much technical knowledge to take care of the constructed wetland, and it doesn't matter if it's floating or it's on the ground.
Yeah, I just wanted to add actually about this Nutriloo for projects that we are working on. We have developed and also in University of Latvia, we have, you can leave this slide. In University of Latvia, we have developed mineral materials that already comes from the ground, for example, in Baltics. And actually, it's quite a simple technique. So this mineral material absorbs or catches selectively phosphorus, and so the techniques can also be quite easy and not so so serious or so complicated. So this actually is our project. I think the plus that it is quite simple technology. This materials that can catch the phosphorus and then leave it out for the plants. And in this picture you can also up there you can see one of the idea that I was mentioning, that beneath the swan house there is this cartridges with filter materials that we can take it out after a few years and just replace it. So also the maintenance could be quite easy, and then you can take out saturated with phosphorus and use it for example for the flower beds or flowering plants. And in this project we also have 3 pilot sites, and one will be also in CES and one also will be in Estonia. So
that's next year, you mentioned.
Yeah, this will be next year. At this point we are brainstorming different kind of ideas. There will be different solutions, definitely, not only floating objects.
Sounds interesting. Crystal wanted to say something about what you heard. No. Can we learn something from other countries? Although I think you mentioned before at the beginning of this discussion that there are already in other places this kind of islands, maybe more simple or not for so long time designed. Is it something we take from others, or for each site, each lake, you need to have a separate solution and you kind of invent every time everything from the beginning? Can we something take?
I mean, definitely we can take, but as I said many times already, and we all have repeated in here, the first ideas of those floating islands was really to increase the biodiversity. So not really to try to heal our water bodies or reduce the pollution in the water bodies. So that part is definitely what we can take from there. And we can also take all those bad examples, because as I brought as an example, that people were not considering that they can pollute the waters as well in case of the microplastics, for example. So, and that's what we are taking from there. Building our own floating islands right now, we are really considering to avoid those errors that has been done. So, yeah.
Yes, one more thing is that the floating island should really float. It shouldn't be sinking island. So yes, the buoyancy of this material should be considered as well and calculated so it keeps up the water level.
I just wanted to add, if we think about the solutions for water bodies, I think the most important is to reduce the source for the pollution. And if it's wastewater treatment, one point source, that maybe we could treat more the wastewater effluents, or we can use also filter materials at the end. But if there is some pollution that comes from agricultural lands, that maybe the solution that is also in the working constructed wetlands could be the best option. So I think it depends of the pollution source definitely, and then the technique what will be chosen.
Crystal, you have any ideas about how to attract biodiversity on these islands? Maybe more examples and lessons you can learn from other countries.
I think maybe the plants that we are going to use. Of course, it's quite good to use the same plants that the water body already has near the shores, but to attract maybe more pollinators or other insects, maybe it's reasonable to add maybe some extra. And I think that this biofloat project that we have, it's really interesting case study, at least for all of us. To see how it really works in the natural system, and in case of Estonian lake where the water quality is really bad. So I'm really excited to see that we have had now one full year. Then we have collected water quality parameters and measured cyanobacterial biomass and the toxic cells, and then everything else that we can measure. And then now when we start installing the island, we still have 2 more years to see the results. And I think this is a very interesting case study. And I also communicated and introduced our project in International Cyanobacterial Conference. And this idea was for this community also very interesting, and it's not only that how it will work in the end, but also just how these constructs will work. And then the next conference will be in New Zealand, and then I will hope to show the results of this project. It's in 3 years.
Yes,
the results will be interesting for me as well. And the first thing with those plants and biodiversity, probably we pick some plants that are really tasty for the birds, and they will just eat it, everything. But yes.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe just to comment that people like beautiful things, but people need to understand as well that the beautiful things needs to be in their own nature. So if you build up a floating island for your lake or for your community lake, making it beautiful may be the most wrong way to go.
It depends what they understand with the beautiful.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like you need to avoid to bring invasive species to those areas where they should not grow as well at the same time. So you may ruin the environment in that way as well, thinking wrongly. So
that's what you mentioned at the beginning, right? There's one step and you're already in the wrong direction. Linda wanted to say.
Yes, but in this case, I think we are the scientists here that do some practical research. I mean, there is one way when you go in a lab and do something in your small box, but we are going outside the lab, and all those influencing factors are influencing our results. And this is even more interesting. But I don't think that we should be in some way be afraid of those floating islands, for example, because this research and this study site will be easy to remove. When something happens, it's one few hours and we just take it out and everything is just fine. But we are doing some research when we really build the thing in the real existing sites in wastewater treatment systems or in agricultural fields where is 1 hectare area, and then when something goes wrong, well,
it's much more complicated,
it's
right?
more complicated, yes. But in this case, I don't think it's something frightening.
So mistakes won't cost so much in that meaning. If you have any questions to our panelists, please raise your hand. There's still a few minutes time for your question if you want as well. Just let me know. I will give you a microphone. So is anybody ready to ask question? Or yes, I see you. So just a second.
Hello, and thank you for a nice discussion. Maybe a bit controversial question, but as you know, all the lakes eventually turn up into a wetlands. So should we actually do anything or let them be? Because, well, we have a lot of very important wetlands. Maybe that's the way, we're just trying too much.
Thank you. Who wants to answer?
It's a very interesting question. Thank you. I think we should do something if we want to live here. If we want to abandon this place, then of course we can let the nature take its part. And we could even say that in Latvia, if we wouldn't live there anymore for a while, then here would be woods and maybe some peatlands. That's it. 1%.
My comment would be that sure. But do we want to have them happen as quickly as they're happening right now, or we want to, prolong it? I mean, naturally, it would not happen as quickly. It happens so quickly because of us, because we have made some wrong choices in our history, and it's actually not the long-term history, but short-term history in case of the nature itself. So, if we want to stop those quick processes, it does not mean that we will stop the process itself fully, so it will still happen.
Yeah, I totally agree with Alo. Yeah, definitely. We are with our activities, fertilization, agriculture activities, wastewaters, and so on, acid rain. So different kind of things that we are already doing. They are intensifying this eutrophication of an overgrowth. So actually, if we help to reduce it, we just slow the process down. Yeah. So.
Crystal, you also wanted? No.
Just agree with the
with everything.
others. Yeah.
Other questions? Someone else wants to ask? Feel free. We still have a few minutes if you want. Deciding? No.
The questions can be in Latvian as well. They will be translated.
By the way. Seems that no. Then I will ask you a question. What is the best indicator that we can see that this floating island really works well? So it's not sinking, probably that's the best already, the first what we see. But otherwise, how you really measure success when you build such a floating islands?
I can just explain what we are planning to do in case of Estonian lake. We know that the floating islands we are going to construct and install to the lake does not really treat the lake itself, because the lake is too big for that. But what we want to confirm is to find out what would be the best solution for in case of plantation for this floating island, which could at least a little bit take out the nutrients and take it out as efficient as possible. In case of this Estonian lake, we are going to have a high frequency monitoring platform close by. So it means that we are getting the different water parameters after every 10 minutes. So you are measuring oxygen close by this island, chlorophyll fluorescence, which is a kind of a proxy for the chlorophyll itself. What we see when the phytoplanktons are blooming or growing there. So what we plan to do there is really to measure close by and then a very high frequency after every 10 minutes. Having another measurements in other parts where we don't have those this island, and this is in Estonia. It's a small kind of a reservoir type of lake. Means that it has a flow through. So we know that in the upper part of this island there should not be changes because of the island, and it should be only in the downflow. So that's where we are going to measure and see does the effect really happens or not.
Crystal, you add something more for your measurement system?
Yeah, and then maybe we can get some feedback from the local community when they really see that maybe water is more transparent, and yeah, I think these small visible changes that local who are living their daily basis, they can give some feedback and let us know.
Yeah, and for our project, we will also, of course, measure different kind of parameters in the water. But one of the parameters we will measure is also the phosphorus concentration in this mineral material. So this will be also one of the things that we will do. So, but yeah, I totally agree with colleagues.
But with floating islands, I would say that the vegetation, if it's really like blue-green, if it really grows, then it has to be taken out some nutrients, so something is less in the water. Yes.
Alo, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add something that we haven't really discussed today is that in most of the cases, and I'm rather sure that even in here in this lake, we see that the water is somehow blooming. There is definitely more phytoplankton than it should be. We may not anymore send any pollution to this lake, but the pollution is here historically in the sediments already, and so we haven't really talked about the sediments. So if you stop the pollution, it does not mean that you will get rid of the phosphorus and nitrogen in the lake. It's still there, but it's stored in the sediments, and we are lowlands. All our Baltic countries are in a low sea level, so it means that the wind is really affecting all of our lakes, and then there's kind of almost a constant resuspension of the sediments. So we are washing out these nutrients from the sediments, and that is the reason why they're always in the water column. One thing what the floating island will do as well is that it will help you to have less turbid water. So if you put something on top of your lake, it means that the wind does not affect the lake anymore as heavily. So it means that the resuspension itself from the sediment should decrease as well. It should go down. And if you avoid that your phosphorus and nitrogen will be released from the sediments, that is how you help your lake as well. So the floating island can purify or can make your water better just giving a shelter. So that's another
and
thing
less
that we haven't
waves,
discussed.
yeah.
And less waves, maybe, yeah.
Yes, very interesting. So more and more aspects we are hearing here, and as well saying, like, if we would ask again, would you agree to install such an island on your land? That maybe someone will say yes, then at one moment no, then again yes. So that's the process of decision making. But we started this discussion with the title Mysteries of Floating Islands. I would ask you all, what is for you personally, I don't know, the biggest mystery of floating islands, or how you see these structures when you are so deep into the research and constructing of these things. Still, like, you step one step aside and say, is there a mystery for you still if you think about these installations or creatures?
I can maybe start because I'm not expert in floating islands, but we will have something floating. So, and I think as our project is quite new, I think your project will be still soon ending, or
it will be still running for 2 more years. So.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. It's okay. You have already two more years, but yeah, I just wanted to say that for us, maybe there's more mysteries because we are only now starting. But for me, definitely, one of the mystery will be after what time we will need to take it out, this mineral material, and how much the phosphorus will be attached to this material. So this will be the biggest mystery, the time frame for me. Yeah.
Crystal?
I think in our case, the mystery and then question mark for me would be that can we see even a little change of this cyanobacterial community that is there? That if we even can see that it's little bit some other, even if it's still cyanobacteria, but some other genus is more prevalent there, then we already see some changes. And then this is still question mark, and I'm very eager to see the results.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, while we still don't have the island yet, the mystery point for me to solve is really when to cut the plantation, when to cut the plants in this island, because we cannot get rid of the nutrients just putting them into the plants. Those plants needs to be taken away from the lake and put away from the lake. So we really need to find when is the best moment to do that. As I mentioned earlier, we know from some other earlier experiments that it should be in August, but what is the best time for those plants which we are going to cultivate on that island? It's still a mystery. So.
Linda?
And for me, probably the measurements and how to calculate the real efficiency of this floating structure. Because I can easily imagine if you take a pipe where water comes in and then there's treatment system comes out, so you measure both and everything's clear. But for this, there are so many influencing factors, and how to divide them and say that this is because of this island, this is because of something other.
So, and to conclude, the final question, how do you see the role in the future of these islands? Because we already mentioned that's one of the alternatives, how we can also treat the lake, and also, as Alo many times mentioned, the focus is more on attract biodiversity here. Do you see them like a very, niche product somewhere, or you will see it, in every second city or even private territories as a thing that people will choose to create?
Yes, I would definitely say that this is a future thing, and all those naturally based solutions that we can see for improving water quality, this is the future for us, because all those nearly natural measures that we do, they are future. They are innovative. They are future.
Hello,
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, the population of our Earth is growing so quickly that we are losing the nature. Even though we are living in super lucky areas right now, we don't almost see it. Everybody would think that I'm pessimist now, but I'm optimist from that point of view, that probably most of our people in here in this meeting will see that the population growth is going to extend really rather quickly in our areas as well, super soon. This means that we would have less nature. That would be one option, how to introduce more nature in the highly populated areas. So that is where it started somehow. So.
So optimist, pessimist?
Optimist,
of course.
Yeah. I also see the future of these nature-based solutions from the biodiversity point of view, and yeah, I really see that with new methods that we get to measure biodiversity, we can also measure the effect of these islands better and better, and I'm optimist. Yeah.
And Ruta?
Yes, I totally agree with the colleagues, but yes, if we think about water treatment in general, not only surface waters, then I think this switch from different kind of chemicals that is mainly used, for example, to reduce phosphorus in wastewaters, so in general, the switch from chemicals to natural materials, for example, as this natural filter materials that can be also used in different kind of settings, not only for the surface waters, then I totally agree, and I would love to see more floating islands and floating objects that with this additional aspect to treat the surface waters. Yeah,
the additional value, right? On
yes.
What is already. Thank you so much, and thank you for this discussion. I hope that you had a lot of new ideas and insights how we can look into things in our nature and these nature-based solutions. Ruta Ozola Davidāne, Kristel Panksep, Alola, and Linda Greenberga. Thank you with applause, let's say. Yes.
Sorry, hi. Before the group picture, I just want to thank you all for being here and traveling here and joining us at the stage, and also for sharing your insights and knowledge about floating islands and about Bioflow project and Nutriloop Works project as well. And fingers crossed, we're going to see the floating island soon here in Latvia and in Estonia as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And yeah, have a nice afternoon and fruitful discussions also tomorrow. Thank you and goodbye.